We're up before dawn at Chittleton House. We want to get to Avebury for the sunrise. It's really dark when we get here. We could have slept in for another half an hour. 6:30, it starts to lighten up and we can see the stones, not just gray lumps. This is what we were hoping for, a spectacular sunrise on the Autumnal Equinox. But this is what we got. At least it's not raining. Avebury is the largest megalithic stone circle in the world. The outer bank and ditch is 1,140 feet in diameter. The monument consisted of a large henge, or bank and ditch, with a large outer stone circle and two separate smaller stone circles at its center. It's estimated that the inner stone circles were built around 2800 BCE and the outer stone circle and henge were built about 2600 BCE. Today, the town of Avebury sits in the middle of the monument, and the A4361 highway from Schwinden bisects the henge. By 1837, the majority of the standing stones were gone, either buried by pious locals in the 14th century or broken up for building materials in the 17th and 18th centuries. In the 1870s, Sir John Lubbock, a wealthy politician and amateur archaeologist, bought most of the available land at Avebury to preserve it. Over the ensuing years, several archaeological studies have been done and many of the stones have been returned to their upright positions. This is the Barber Stone. During an effort to re-erect stones in the 1930s, a skeleton of a man was discovered under this stone, with coins dating to the 1320s, and a pair of scissors and a lancet, tools of the barber surgeon, hence the name the Barber Stone. Avebury has been adopted as a sacred site for adherents of neo-pagan religions. There's a small group of druids here reciting and chanting. They were intent on what they were doing, so I didn't bother to ask them to take more intrusive pictures. Today, the National Trust stewards and protects the site and discourage commercialism. This is one of only 2 souvenir shops inside the henge. The southern inner ring is 354 feet in diameter before it was destroyed in the 18th century. Today, several stones have been re-erected, but a section of the arc lies beneath the village. The henge is a large circular bank and an internal ditch. The ditch was 36 feet deep, and the bank is 30 feet high. Antler picks were used to excavate. The Romans were the first tourists to visit Avebury, arriving by the Roman road from Bath. Roman picnickers left pottery shards in the ditch of the henge. Connecting to the Avebury henge is the West Kennet Avenue, lined with standing stones. It's unclear what the purpose of this avenue was. There are several other Neolithic features in this area. They're all included in the UNESCO World Heritage Site, including Stonehenge, which is about 18 miles south. This is Silbury Hill. It's the tallest prehistoric man-made mound in Europe. It stands 131 feet high and covers 5 acres. It was built in several stages between 2400 and 2300 BCE. Archaeologists calculate that it took 18 million man-hours to deposit and shape 324,000 cubic yards of dirt. The circular base is 548 feet in diameter, tapering to a flat top summit that's 98 feet in diameter. Another Neolithic site is the West Kennet Long Barrow. It's a simple mound of earth, 300 feet long and 60 feet wide, constructed about 3700 BCE, and used as a burial site. Archaeologists have uncovered the bones of at least 36 individuals from the Long Barrow. The stone burial chamber extends 36 feet into the barrow. It's built of sarsen stones. Neo-pagans believe that this long barrow is a temple and use it for rituals. We encountered 2 inside the chamber when we were exploring. From the top of the long barrow, you can see Avebury and the Silbury Mound. Graham says, now I have something to show you. Caen Hill Locks. Graham explains that he was part of a group that worked on the reconstruction of the Caen Hill Locks in 2010. There are a flight of 29 locks on the Kennet and Avon Canal that rise 237 feet in 2 miles. They were built between 1796 and 1810. They last part of the 87-mile-long canal. The locks take 5 to 6 hours to traverse. The last commercial cargo on the canal was a consignment of grain in 1948. In the early 19th century, the towpath was lit by gas lights. Water to power the locks is pumped from fox hangers at the entrance to the locks to holding ponds at the top of the hill. Ponds are managed as a nature reserve by the Canal and River Trust. Graham says one more must-see, the Alton Barnes White Horse. The horse is 180 feet high and 160 feet long and was cut in the turf to expose the chalky soil. It was cut in 1810. Our last stop is a big one, Salisbury Cathedral. It's regarded as one of the leading examples of early English Gothic architecture. Its main body was built between 1220 and 1258, and the spire was added in 1320. The west front has 130 shallow niches for statuary. The majority of the statues were placed in the middle of the 19th century. 7 are from the 14th century, and several have been installed in the last decade. Tucked into the corners are faces, gargoyles, and grotesques. We enter the nave and look around in awe. To think this place is almost 800 years old. On the floor of the nave are 300-year-old burial stones. In the aisles on either side of the narrow nave are exhibits. The Salisbury clock dates from about 1386 and is the oldest working modern clock in the world. The Vanity of Small Differences is an exhibit of contemporary tapestries inspired by Hogarth's 18th century morality tale, A Rake's Progress. In the center of the nave is the Pi font. This unconventional modern baptismal font was installed in 2008. The water in the font reflects the cathedral's interior. The crossing connects the nave, the transepts, and the choir. The transepts are the arms of the cross and at right angles to the nave. The choir features ornately carved stalls and an organ dating to 1877. A striking feature of Gothic cathedrals is the amount of light coming in through the clerestory windows. Surrounding the choir and the sanctuary are several chapels and monuments. The cloister is the largest in England and was added in the late 13th century. The chapter house has an unusual octagonal form. and a slender central pillar supporting the arches. A frieze above the stalls depicts biblical scenes. A few last pictures of an amazing building. That wraps up this tour, and we head back to London and to the Claremont for one more night. We have no set agenda today, so we sleep in and eventually go back to the Starbucks. We wander towards Knightsbridge, taking pictures of interesting architecture. Harrods food courts are always an interesting place for pictures. Everything's so attractively displayed. After looking at all that food, we stopped by our favorite London pub, Paxton's Head, for fish and chips, of course. Then back to the Claremont to pack up for a long flight home. In the morning, we're back at Heathrow Terminal 3, waiting for our flight to Seattle. Sherry and I hope you are enjoying our adventures in England. There are over 250 videos on our channel, with more added every year. Be sure to subscribe and leave us a comment. We enjoy hearing from our subscribers.